Good morning, it's Caroline from Caroline's Corner in Leeds in the UK. It is Monday the 3rd of January and I have managed to find a window of opportunity to record a new video. These videos are usually about cross stitch, knitting, maybe quilting, maybe reading. Today, as it's been a while since I recorded, it's just going to be about cross stitch, and as it's the beginning of the year I'm going to do the traditional WIP parade. Been quite enjoying watching some other people's WIP parade videos. I'm also going to wrap up what I've not what I've worked on, because you'll see that during the WIP parade, but what I've actually managed to get finished in 2021. I was hoping to record, I think it was at the end of October I last recorded. There just hasn't been a window of opportunity for me to record when it was daylight, and I kind of think that helps because I don't have any proper lighting, which I may have to look at for next winter, because it's been a really grey and miserable winter here so far. I'm going to stop promising when I'm going to record again, and I'm also going to stop apologising. It's just the way my life is at the moment, I'm afraid. Two very busy children and a job and family. It just, you know, what time I have, I've been trying to spend stitching rather than, I could try and record, but then I'd have nothing to show. So the way it goes sometimes. So yeah, so I hope everyone had a good Christmas and a good New Year. Ours was quite quiet. We generally don't do a lot at Christmas. We just try and recover from what's always been, it's always a very busy, hectic term, is September to December. And we don't go out to New Year either. I usually end up staying up till past midnight, but that's only because everyone lets off fireworks around here, and I find it, and if I get woken up, I'm just even more grumpy than if I've stayed up late. So that's the way it goes. Anyway, on to what's been keeping me busy. I have had a really big finish. You'll remember that I was working on Anniversary Roses by Forget Me Nots in Stitches a few months ago, and I observed then I didn't have a lot left to do. Well, my Tiny Decisions app brought Anniversary Roses up again. I think it was September when I was working on. So, as it was the holidays, I decided I wouldn't just do a week on it, I would go all out and get it finished. So I did. So when I picked it back up, I was finishing off this band here. So I finished off the greenery at the bottom, and the band called for some initials. So the initials I opted to put in were for Susan and Sarah Albury, who organised the classes with Lauren where I took this. This sampler was designed as a 10th anniversary, for the 10th anniversary of Lauren coming over to teach in the UK with Susan and Sarah. And so that was 2010. So I started this in 2010. So I thought, well, I'll go and see how it does. And I'd got the next two bands done and was on to the roses. So I kept going. And if you can see, but I stitched a bit faint, 2010 to 2021. There. So I don't think I can get it all in because it's a real biggie. But I am so thrilled to have this done. And this was stitched on the kit materials. I'm not sure what the linen is, but the threads are a mix of silks and cottons. There's Vera Soie, Soy Cristal, water lilies, some thread gatherer, some gentle arts and some weeks. And I think it all looks absolutely stunning, and I am absolutely thrilled to have it finished. I'll insert a picture of the whole thing and a few close-ups. So at the beginning of December, I got Moon Garden finished. As you remember, I was stitching this is part of the Blackbird Design stitch-along that was happening that Brenda and Laura set off. I think when I last showed it, I was down to the alphabet down the bottom. So November and December, I got that finished. Absolutely thrilled to have that one finished. I bought the chart when it came out and it's been sitting in my stash waiting to be stitched for far too long. This one is stitched on 32 count Sienna Night from Lakeside Linen, and it uses the called for gentle arts threads. I'm absolutely thrilled. I managed to identify a local framer, so I think this will be going in for framing in the next few months when I can get out there. So those are the two biggish finishes, and there were I also stitched some ornaments. The first one is the one I stitched for my daughter. This is Tinsel Tree by Fernridge Collections. It was in the 2013 Just Cross Stitch Ornament Edition. It's just stitched on a bit of random over-dyed linen linen, or is it even weave? Can't remember. From my stash using the call for DMCs. Finished as suggested in the magazine. So very pleased with how that came out. I actually got this finished on Christmas Eve, so for once it was actually on the tree for Christmas Day, which my daughter made a point of commenting on because she's so used to them not actually making it on the tree that year. So yeah, so that's that one. And then there's the ornament I stitched for my son, which is Yellow Penguin by Casey Bogania Designs, also from the 2013 Just Cross Stitch Ornament Edition. Again, it's stitched on some yellow permin linen that I had in my stash using the call for DMCs, and again finished as suggested in the magazine. I actually got this one finished on Boxing Day, so it also made it onto the tree for most of Christmas for a change, and my son decided it was very cute, so there we go. Yeah, I also stitched another ornament that was a gift for a friend who is seriously into his Sasquatch. So I took Daddy Squatch off Bigfoot Bunch by Plum Street Samplers and just stitched him up as an ornament. I used some of the call for colours. Where I didn't have them, I just substituted it from my stash. I'll put a picture in here of the finished thing. My husband was quite taken with it, so I'm going to have to stitch the whole design at some point. Apart from that, I did manage to get the finishing finished on Take a Lovely Sampler that I told you about in my last video, or last but one video. I showed you this. This is a set of smalls, again by Lauren of Forget-Me-Nots in Stitches. And again, this was a class I took with the Oldbury sisters and through Hanging by a Thread. And I have finished the whole, and I got the whole set finished towards the beginning of December, it was December, end of November. So there is a bag, it's the ditty bag. So it has this lovely, Lauren took a load of motifs off it's an Italian sampler from a collection of a friend of hers. She did actually gift us with the chart to stitch the whole sampler with, so I may do that at some point. So there's this lovely floral motif, and as you can see on the back, I finished the stitching in 2019 on this one. So it's taken me a couple of years just to get the finishing done. So it's the little lined ditty bag. There is a forget-me-not scissor keep. A needle book. Some knot work. A scissor rest. Again with another floral motif on it. The City of London flag, which is actually upside down because the wording on the other side I managed to get it upside down, but I wasn't frogging that much over one. It was more important to me at the time to get it finished. So the wording just says in London. And there's a little mattress pin cushion. That actually has the date on it of 2015, which was when I finished the stitching on that one, and at the time I was hoping I was going to get the whole thing finished in 2015, and obviously I didn't because it took another 4 years. But hey, it's all done. I will insert a picture so you can have a look at the full set. But very, very glad to have finished 2 of Lauren's class projects in the last year. As I say, we won't go into how many. You'll see how many I've got still waiting to be finished. So I'm going to pause the video now and then put these stuff away and then get out the first tranche of WIPs, which are all sitting in my trolley here waiting. But so I shall grab the ones I need first. Back in a minute. Right, I'm back. I took a little bit more organising than I was thinking, but we're ready to go. I'm going to go through all my WIPs, starting with the oldest. Pardon me. And then, so we'll see. So let's get stuck in. The first WIP, I actually got myself a board so I can show you stuff, is stained glass sunflower from, actually I think this is upside down. There we go, that's better. Landmark Tapestries. Started this back in 2001. And for those who watch my videos, you know this is my focus piece at the moment. So it's going to get worked on every month for a few days, just till it gets done. It has been worked on since you last saw it. I've been busy working my way around this green bit of border, which is almost done. So should get that finished in January and then on to the next bit of border. I've had to try and source some new threads. This is being stitched by Appleton's Yarns. It's by Landmark Tapestries. And obviously because it's so old, I can't really go back to Landmark Tapestries and say, run out of yarn. But so I managed to colour match a couple of the colours, and which gives me a guideline to colour match in the rest, and then see if I can get, it's mainly the yellows, I'm running out of some of the yellows, just being a little less frugal than I normally am, it would appear. So anyway, quite enjoying working on that one. Really looking forward to getting it done. Next couple are both from 2008. No, I think this is going to blow out too much. This is Aquith Whiteworth sampler. I don't have a picture of the finished thing. The designer Eva-Lotta Hansen from the Royal School of Needlework designed this for the Aquith sampler gathering in 2008. Actually, I think I'm showing you the back. That would help if I wasn't showing you my back. And she just took some motifs from the Good Heart. This was from various samples in the Good Heart collection, because this was the seminar where Needleprint launched the Good Heart Samplers book. So this got worked on in September. You will have seen it in my Sampler September wrap up. I'm working on the drawn thread. This will be a acorn with a leaf eventually. So this will be my focus piece once I have finished the tapestry. Next one is also from Aquith 2008. It was a needle lace pin keep that Doreen of the Leisure Needle designed. I'm probably only going to do the first one half, and it won't get made up into a pin keep, but I figured I'll just keep going as a learning piece for needle lace and work on my detached buttonhole, which definitely needs some work before I get on to things like Iberthia. So I will finish one half of it. It's, let's say, it's just going to be a learning piece, so it probably won't get finished into anything, but I do want to try and get my head around some of the techniques. So the next piece is one I haven't actually started yet. This is a companion piece to Anniversary Roses. So Lauren always does a little small or something to go with her samplers. And this was a little pin keep, so I've got the kit to do. And so that will stay in that slot. And these are the threads. And if Anniversary Roses comes up again this year, hopefully I'll get that done. So Anniversary Roses was from, as I said, was from 2010. I think this was 2011. I was fortunate enough, Ellen Chester came over to the UK to teach, and I was fortunate enough to be able to take the Fruits of the Vine sampler Husif with her Fobbles. A fair way in. I've got both pieces done for the needlework, so that's the inside, that's the outside. That was the piece we did in the class because that taught us most of the techniques. And I have the scissor keep stitched. So at the moment I'm working on the outside of the Husif, which is a sampler. So I'm just on the vine border at the moment. I don't think this came out this year, so I'm looking forward to getting some time on that if I can. It's being stitched in a variety of, I think, mostly dinky dyes thread. Yes, this was 2011, the date's on the bottom of the thread palette. I do like how Ellen does her threads. So yeah, would like to get back to that one sometime soon and get that finished. This next one is one of the ones that's probably closest to actually being finished because it's had a fair bit of work over the years. This is from 2012, It's Glastonbury Garden, and it's another Forget-Me-Nots in Stitches. It's a sewing pocket pouch affair. So slightly better pictures of the outside and the inside with all the pockets. Now I have the base all stitched, got the outside done, and the inside, you can see all the basting where the pockets go. And I am just working on getting the pockets stitched. So I've got 3 of the pockets done and there's another 4 to go. This has been stitched in sampler threads. So yeah, so looking forward to getting back to that one. It'd be nice to get that again, get that one done. That was from 2012. I think this one was 2013. Along the River James, Williamsburg bound. There isn't a picture on there. This is a sewing pocket. There isn't a great, I can't find the picture of it all made up. But I have done both of the panels for the sewing pocket, so that's one side, and the picture. So that's the outside of it. These are for the inside. You did see this one. Go back to October time, I did some work on this. And I'm working on the different pockets at the moment. So it's a toss-up between this one and Glastonbury Garden, I think, which is the closest to being completed. This is being stitched in a mix of silks, water lilies, soy crystal, and overdyed cottons. Then also in 2013, because Lauren came over and she did the pocket and she did Mistress L's sampler with us. It's a whole sampler, there's 2 bits of it, but so that's the top and the bottom. Put this on the board, see it. This last came out Christmas 2020 was, and I finished when I finished up these alphabets. So I have a fair bit to go because it's another long one. But I do enjoy working on this one when it comes up. It's mostly stitched in a variety of different silks and sampler threads. So yeah, so I didn't get to that one last year, which is a shame, but hopefully I will this year. See what the Tiny Decisions app throws up. I think this is 2016, but I'm not entirely sure. This is September Morning by Jackie Duplessis. I took the class with her in Oxford. Working on my box panels. It's a sewing box, so I've got the side panels inside and out all done, and they're very, very pretty. And I'm working on the end panels, so I've still got some work to do on the first one to finish that off. So again, I can't remember the last time I worked on this one, so I really, really hope it comes up this year. It'll be good to see. And they're all silks. I'm not sure what type of silk, brand of silk they are, but very pretty colours. Next one, can't remember when this class was. CMB Anno 1759, A Sleeping Beauty Awakened, which is another Lauren. So, Forget Me Nots in Stitches. I don't have a picture of the whole sampler. This was one you had 4 different ways of stitching it. The original was just white work and was all knots, Palestrina knots, I think. But Lauren charted it 2 ways, and it's 2 panels next to each other. So you could either stitch it as the white work sampler in one long sampler, or the two side by side, or she did a colour version that was cross stitch, Montenegrin stitch, rather than the knots. I'm doing the colour version, and I'm doing it side by side. So here's my progress to date on CMB, and this is being stitched all with sampler threads mostly. I think there is one of their reservoir in there, so I'm just working my way down from the top. So you can see the layout. So first side, that's the top, and then you go on to those ones, and the second side is those ones, and then those down the bottom, and then I think the scroll border up the top here is repeated at the bottom of the sampler. Again, another biggie. But I can't remember when I last worked on this one. I think it might have been 2019. It's one I quite enjoy when it comes up. So let's see if Tiny Decisions brings that one up this year. And we'll see. I'll go into how I'm going to do organise my stitching at the end of the video if you want to hang around that long. The next one is one I did a class I did online with Jackie Duplessis through the Shining Needle Society. This is One Moment in Time, which is a sewing pouch and accessories. And this did get worked on last year, I think. I am almost done with all the panels for the bag. So these are pockets that go on the outside of the bag. So, and these are the bag panels, and I've done 6 out of the 8. I'm on number 7 now. The panels are actually been a pain in the backside to stitch because you have to outline each panel. I don't know if you can see this in soy superfine that's the same colour as your linen, which makes counting an absolute pain in the arse. And I will be very glad to be done with these panels. These ones aren't so bad because there's more fun stitching in them, and I would be very, very glad to get onto the smalls. So, One Moment in Time has been selected. These are the silks. Again, I'm not sure of which brand they are. And It's 2 103s and the cream soy superfine. One moment in time I'm going to be working on this month. It's one of the ones, it's the class project that Tiny Decisions app has thrown up for me. So I'm really hoping I can get the bag panels done, or at least get a chunk out, at least get the one I'm currently working on finished, and try and make some good headway on the next one in the week I work on it. Almost at the end of my class WIPs. This was 2018, I think. This is another Jackie Duplessis. It's contented hours, which is a little basket and a sieve. I did get to work on this year. You did see it, I think, in my last video. So these are the silks, lovely shades of mauve and green. And all I have done is I'm working on the first of the bag handles. Didn't get very far on that one. So this is about a week's worth of stitching on this one. So really hoping, again, if this comes up, I should get a bit further on that one. My last class WIP, which I know is 2018, is Iberthia from Hands Across the Sea. Got to take this class at Fobbles in when Nicola was teaching. I haven't started the sampler yet. I've just been working on the workshop piece to practice my reversible stitching, and this is how far I got with that. I will get it finished. So there was no particular rush to get on with what's the completed workshop piece, to get on with Iberthia, because I didn't have a scroll rods it could go on, but now I've finished Anniversary Roses. Those scroll rods are earmarked to go to have Bethia put on. So, and when I do come to stitch her, she'll be in the, I'll be stitching her on it. We're using a Vera Soie silks. Still haven't quite decided whether I'm going to make a reversible or not, because it's highly likely if I do finish her and frame her, she won't be framed so you can see the reverse. But we'll have to see on that one. See, it might be more a case of actually getting her done than worrying about the reversibility, but we'll see. So that's on my oldest WIPs. So the next WIPs start in 2019. So I'm going to pause this video, tidy this lot away, and then get the next lot out. Right, this next tranche of WIPs is the ones that I started in 2019 and 2020. So the first one is a little silk gauze kit from Krynic. It's a Christmas tree globe. I have a picture of the final thing. It just came in this little box. Again, was one I was gifted in a long time ago, so it's nice to get it stitched. I've got that much left to do on that one. Just finish filling in the sky and then do the base of the snow globe. So I think is all I have left to do. It's on 40 count silk gauze, and it's using Krynic silk moire and blending filament. So yeah, so hopefully it shouldn't be too long. If that one comes up, I should get that finished. Next oldest WIP is from Mania 2019. It's Skylar Wayne by Indigo Rose. A good friend I was in an exchange with got me the full kit, gifted me with the full kit. So it's, I can't remember what the linen is, but it's using Karen threads. So that's, I think this came out for Mania this year, and I got a little bit more done. And these are the threads. I tend to store my silk threads in floss away bags for the Karen. So be nice to get back and get that one. Get some serious progress on that one. My next mania start for 2019 was Folk Art needle box and needle case from Hillside Samplings. I've got the Liberty Hill box that goes with this. Right, sorry, I got interrupted. As I was saying, I've got the Liberty Hill box that goes with the needle book. Can't remember when I last worked on this one, but I've got all the sides for the needle book outlined, and it'll be starting on the filling in of the hearts. There's only really one, I think, that has got, there's only the top cover that has some serious amounts of stitching in. I don't think the rest have nearly so much. So, and these are the threads that came. I'm just using the kit materials for these. The next mania start for 2019 was Stitches Roll by Shepherd's Bush. Finished piece. And this is how far I've got. Not very far. And then again, I think this did come out this year, but not on the day when I got a lot of stitching in. And it's just using DMC in Shepherd's Bush colours. So again, if that comes up, hopefully I should get a fair bit of stitching done. And then there was Beardy Designs Elegant Pocket, which again was a mania start for 2019. Some lovely silks, again green and purples, exactly my colours. And actually, because when this came up, I was actually away on holiday, so I did actually get a fair start that May, and I got most of that top bit done. And it's come up since, and I just made a start on the rest of the pocket. A little bit to go yet. This one is actually coming up for a week in January, so I'm hoping I can make a solid bit of progress on it. I doubt I'll get it finished, but as long as I can get a fair bit further down, that will. I'm just looking for solid progress on stuff, on some of the larger ones this year. And then my last mania start from 2019 was the From the Heart basket band and some pin pillows, and I'm working on the heart basket fob. I say this did come out this year, and I got this one finished and made a good start on the next fob. So if this comes up, that bit at least will get finished, if not anything else. And again, I'm using the kit materials for those. Okay, got them out. This next WIP got worked on this December. This is the Milk Paint Sampler thread fold from the Remember the Ladies series that Krynick put out a good number of years ago. This is designed by Mary Gary's Sewing Cabin. And these were put out to promote the Milk Paints Silk Moire. So it was a kit with the silks. Lovely delicate colours. And my progress this December, this is what I mean by making solid progress. When this came up in my rotation, I was here on the alphabets. Don't know how well that's going to show up. So I got this whole side finished and got the border on the next side and made a start on the grass. So and that's in a week's stitching, which I'm very pleased with. There's a fair bit of solid stitching on this side. I think this fabric, having done some digging in my stash, might be Vintage Mocha by Lakeside, but don't quote me on that. 32 count. Looking at what else I've found. But yeah, so I'm quite pleased with that. So yeah, so that's come out. That's seen some solid progress this month. So very pleased with that. And that was, I think, July's start for, started that one up, July, August 2019. Those are all my WIPs from 2019. I finished everything else I started that year. And we're on to 2020 now. So my 1st of January start in 2020 was Just Nan's and many more. I did the 20 flowers scissor keep a while ago. So, and this has been sat in my stash for absolutely ages. This was an exclusive with the silver needle many, many years ago. And that's my progress so far. It did come out for Mania this year, so I got a little bit more done. So I've got the bottom grass done and I'm working on the fence on that side. So a fair bit more to go, but hopefully should see a fair bit of progress. It's being worked in Splendor Silks from Rainbow Gallery. So the materials all came with the kit. So that was January. I think this one was March or February, I'm not sure. This is Girls' Night Out, which is another Remember the Ladies, and this is a very old one by Kathy Barrick, when she was designing as Carriage House Samplings. I think this has only had a couple of sessions. It's over one on, it's 10 stitch over one on 36 count. The fabric I was given is Dawn's Early Light by R&R. And again, it's using milk paint silks and beautiful soft colours on the milk paint silk Mori from Krynic. And then we are into Mania 2020. So the first WIP I started for that was The Beekeeper by Plum Street Samplers. So this has been out this year. It went away on holiday with me at half term and I got some very solid progress in. I got a good chunk of I got the urn finished and got a good start on the beehive and the flowers. So I was very pleased with my progress this year on that one. That is being stitched with the Call for Weeks Dye Works. I got it as a kit when it was a limited edition market release, although I know Paulette has now released it. The next Mania start was the Williamsburg Folk Art Accessories by Mary Cox. A very good friend gifted me with the box and the kit for these. And unfortunately this one has never come up since I made the small start on the Tombstone Angel for the pin keep. And these are the threads on a Kelmscott thread bobbin. I think there's one Belle Soy and the rest are Gentle Art. Looking forward to that one coming up at some point. And then on to a biggie. Next Mania start was Teresa Wensler's The Guardian, a kit I've had in my stash for absolutely yonks. Being a TW, DMC, virtually almost every colour of DMC. And I can't remember if this has come up since I started it. I think it's that way. There we go. And I just made a start on the dragon. So that one is going to be a very long-term project. Probably not going to see a lot of progress until it becomes a focus piece. So June 2020, I started a sampler grows by the Scarlet House. And it's only gotten worked on the 1st of June, so there's only a little bit of the house there. It's being stitched on a bit of 40 count Lakeside pearlised barley that I had left over from stitching Dorothy Walpole with my own conversion into the silks. Using some of the call for where I had the call for, and then I converted to other silks from my stash using the DMC. Right, then July 2020, it was Hannah Coates, which you did see because I stitched on her during Sampler September. And if you remember, during Sampler September, I got all the border done. Almost of the border done. Just need to finish down this one side. So I was quite pleased with that for the amount of stitching time I had. Do something about this thread. There we go. So yeah, looking forward to getting back to Hannah and seeing how far I can get if she comes up this year. Again, one that until she becomes a focus piece is unlikely to see much solid progress. I'm stitching Hannah using on 40 count light mocha from Zweigart using the call for DMCs. And as I mentioned before, this is a thread keep that my daughter stitched when she was in Switzerland with the guides in 2019. August 2020, my start that month was Shepherd's Bush Sunflower Summer. As you know, I stitched Apple Kissed Autumn this year from start to finish for cross stitch camp, and this is the summer one. Just made a little start up the top. This is one when it actually does come up in my rotation, I should make quite good progress. Again, I doubt I'd get it finished in 1 week, but it will be nice to see some progress on it. It's being used, it came as a kit, so I'm using the kit materials with the call for linen and silk threads. Then it was September 2020. For Sampler September, I started An Open Heart by The Drawn Thread, which again I did work on last year. Last year, I forget which year it is, because I got the top bit finished. So I'm hoping it comes up this year and I can get some more progress on. But again, with these biggies, until they become a focus piece, it's unlikely I'll see they're not going to dramatically grow. And I had using the call for silks, I was gifted a silk pack and the material from Elegant Stitch. So I think this is the Elegant Bean linen it's being stitched on. The last of my 2020 WIPs is Autumn Acorn buying Kelmscott Designs, which I started on the 1st of October. Not a lot done, just a little bit at the top and the outline of the shape. So hopefully, if this was to come up in my rotation, that's one I could easily see myself finishing in a week, or at very least getting very close to a finish in a week. So we shall see. That is the end of my 2020 and 2019 WIPs, so it's on to last year's, and then I will run through what my stitching plans are for 2021. Right, I'm back for the last section of my WIP parade, which is everything I started last year. You may remember my January start I actually finished, because that was Heather Jardine that I was stitching as a birth sampler for my niece. So in February I started Wee Summer Bird by Heart in Hand. I've stitched Spring Bird, I've stitched Winter Bird, and I'll be starting Autumn Bird at some point this year. There's my board, and that was my day's progress on Summer Bird. She's being stitched using the called for over dyed threads. And as I keep saying about some of these, when I actually get if it comes up in my rotation and I get a week's stitching on it, I will, I should get it almost, get good progress on it, even if I don't quite get it finished. In March, I started Clara Ellen by Blackbird Designs. This is from the Anniversaries of the Heart series. It's the only Anniversaries of the Heart I'm actually planning on stitching. And the reason I'm stitching this one is because Clara Ellen was my great-grandmother's name. Made a little bit of a start, got a bit of the border and a bit of her name stitched in. This is going to be going into my Blackbird Weekend Sell slot now I've finished Moon Garden. So this one should get finished in a few months. Can't guarantee it's going to get done quickly, but I should make pretty solid progress over the next few months, so I expect to see that fairly soon. I'm not sure what the linen is, I just did a floss toss. It was some from my stash from a floss club a long time ago. So I think it's just some random witchlet linen, I think. And I'm using the call for threads, over dyed threads for Clara. So that was March. April, I started Quaker Casket Companion, the Quaker Hussif by Sampler Cove, which a friend I got the chart in my stash for a while, and then a friend was de-stashing and I was able to pick up the finishing kit for it. So I'm using the called for navy bean linen from Lakeside Linens and the Rosewood Gloriana. And again, I didn't get much of a start because I only worked on it for one day. But looking forward to getting back on with that when it comes up. But again, until they come up in my focus pieces, largish pieces probably won't. As long as I can see some progress whenever I pick them up, I hope. And then we're on to Mania last year. So the first piece I started was a Justin Ann sampler called Black Magic. I picked this one out because I was gifted the chart and the silk pack by a good friend. What I hadn't realised was that so much of this is over one. All the middle section is over one, the border is over one, so there is quite a lot of stitching. So this is where I got to when I stitched it in Mania. I just made a start on the verse. This is on a random piece of probably witchlet linen, I think, antique white that I had in my stash. That was about the right size. So The second piece I stitched on, I started for Mania last year, was the This Too Shall Pass treasure box that was a charity, breast cancer charity kit from that Lois of Elegant Stitch, now Lady Dot, creates, designed. You've seen this because I think this was in my last video, because I've been working on it in October. And I've got all the boxes outlined now. I think I only had one to start with, and I've got one box filled in now. So yeah, this is, say, going from just having one outline on one box to all the outlines plus is what I mean about progress. So that was a week's progress. Went from just having that one done to all the others. One box completely finished, and this one started. So, don't know when that will be up again, but I do enjoy working on it. Next one was another charity piece, Elegant Stitch release. This is in conjunction with Jackie Duplessis, and it's called Pretty in Pink. That was the best picture I could find of the piece there. I'm sure there's another one, but I couldn't find it. And that was my progress. On the day I worked on it, just a bit at the border for the first of the pieces. It's a sewing case and scissor fob. So yeah, so quite pretty colours. Just a green flosh and an overdye, which is lovely. My next Mania piece was a needlework garden and needlebook from Old Colonial Designs. Again, I bought this when it came out, and I've had the box sat on my shelves for ages and ages and ages, so I decided it needs to get stitched. I've done that one, the little Orc Keeper, and I've done the Thread Keep. They're the only other two pieces of this set I actually bought at the time. So I'm stitching it on the call for, using the fabric, using the call for threads, and that was my progress on the day I stitched on it in Mania. The last of my Mania starts for 2021. I don't actually have the picture with me, it's upstairs. It's called Remember Me, it's by Indigo Rose, and it's an album cover. So, a sampler album cover, and it's stitched in DMC. So that was my little bit of the start on the scroll work on the album spine. And then for June 2020, I started Birds of a Feather from With Thy Needle and Thread. This was a mystery stitch along that Brenda released through her distributor at the time. I know it's now out of print, which is why I thought I needed to get on and get it stitched. And I'm using the call for linen and the call for thread. So that was my little start on the 1st of June. And then those are the call for threads. Then July start got finished because I did that through Cross Stitch Camp. That was Apple Kit, Night Before Christmas by the Drawn Thread. Apple Crisp Autumn which was my August start, got finished through Cross Stitch Camp. So we're on to September, when for Sampler September I started Rachel Howells and spent a few days working on Rachel and got some of the border done. I think I'm about 3/4 of the way across the top border, or 2/3, I'm not quite sure. Decided to get all the border outlined before I stitch it in to make sure it all matches up. So that was my progress. I've worked on Rachel for a week, so I'm quite happy with my progress on that. And I'm using all the called for MPI silks. It'll be nice to get back to Rachel at some point, but we'll see when that is. Then on to October, and it's another piece from Lauren Sawyer, Forget Me Nots in Stitches. This one is called Claire de Lune. And you'll have seen this in my last video. I made a nice little start on the moon. This is on a piece of Kiwi Reflections, and a very kind commenter on my last video told me that Kiwi Reflections are still, Catherine is still dying. She country stitches. I can't remember. I'd have to look it up. Kiwi Illusions, I think, is the fabric. I can't remember the name. It'll be on my last video. And I'm using the called for Silken Colours, which is Mint Frost. And for the black, I'm just going to use some Vicky Clayton black that I had left over from something else. Right, that is the end of my 2021 WIPs, because my new start in November was my daughter's ornament, which is finished, and you saw it at the beginning of the video. My new start for December was my son's, and you've seen that at the beginning of the video. Which brings me on to 2022. Now, I'm planning 2 new starts a month for 2022 because I want to get some stuff out of my stash. I feel worse about having stuff not being stitched in my stash than I do about having a massive WIP pile, weirdly enough. But there you go. So for my first new start for 2021, for the Blackbird weekend sale, not sure if it was this weekend or not, but I've done it this weekend. I pulled out Thank You Sarah Tobias, which I know, long out of print, but I bought it when it came out and I have not stitched anything out of it, so I'm remedying that. I'm doing Sarah's ABC's pincushion down the bottom here. So I spent a couple of days, I started it on Saturday and spent a couple of days stitching it, and this is where I'm up to. I'm halfway through. This is being stitched on 32 count vintage mocha from Lakeside Linens using Gloriana red clay. 2 strands of Gloriana red clay, because that's what the instructions told me to use, 2 strands of silk on the 32 count. So I'm going to work on Clara Ellen first for the Blackbird weekend sale from next month. And when she's done, I'll come back and I'll finish Sarah off. And Sarah should only take 1 weekend to finish now. She's got started. Very pleased with how much I got done this weekend. So next up, I'm back to working on Landmark Tapestry on stained glass sunflowers. Get a bit further on with that. Then I'm going to work on Elegant Pocket for a week. So I work on Landmark's stained glass sunflowers till Friday. Then I'm going to work on Elegant Pocket for a week. Then I'm going to make my other new start of the month, which is going to be Marianne Aldred from Needlework Press, as I succumbed to the limited edition kit that was offered through the Homespun Needlework Needlework and Samplers, I think, Facebook group by Julia Cassava. So having spent a good chunk of money on some of these kits, I'm going to get started on it straight away. And I'll do a week on that. And then I'll do a week on One Moment in Time, which will take me towards the end of the month, and then I'll have a think about how I'm going to fit everything in February. So yeah, so I'm planning on 2 starts a month for the year, and then working on my focus piece for a few days. I'll probably fit that in around the Blackbird weekend sale, given that will be 2 or 3 days of the week, and then do my focus piece for the rest of that week, and then work on depending how many weeks are in the month, maybe either 1 or 2 of my WIPs, and I'll use the Tiny Decisions app to work out which WIP I'm going to work on, and one WIP one time it'll be, and I'll alternate between my class WIPs because they're generally much bigger projects for the time being, and my other WIPs from the last few years, because I do want to get some of those older projects done and out of the way. Haven't quite decided if I'm going to do Mania this year. Obviously I will do Sampler September, or anything else. We'll see what, but that's my plan for the minute. It's all subject to change, of course. See whether anything's screaming at me, a little bit like Anniversary Roses was this last month. And then we'll see. So this is going to take a fair bit of editing, I think. So hopefully I'll get it up probably by next weekend. And then I'm not going to make any promises about when I can come back. Hopefully in the not too distant future. But any case, I hope you all keep well. And I will see you again soon. I think the rest of the family is getting restless downstairs, so I need to wrap up and go down and start feeding them. So anyway, so have a great new year, guys, and thank you for hanging in there, and I will speak to you soon. Bye.